It's really important for me to contribute to our society, our community, and always be of service, helping people. We're always focused on those human rights and also religious freedoms. Everybody gets help when they come to my office. Doesn't matter what religion they are, doesn't matter what ethnicity they are, and we need to start working with the population in general to deal with issues of race and racism and discrimination and demonstrate that, hey, it doesn't matter what ethnicity you are, we can all get along. Doctors don't have the capacity, we don't have the doctors, we don't have the nurses. Our healthcare system is in complete crisis. Danielle Smith and the UCP are saying, no, everything is okay. But when people go to the hospital, they realize that it's in crisis. When people call me in an emergency, I respond because I feel their pain. I feel their suffering. I want to be the person that gets the job done.
Hello and welcome to the Beyond the Headlines show. You're watching Punjabi National TV. I'm your host Manjit Singh Pheruman. As you know, for Alberta election, writ has been already dropped. With that, the speed of the election campaign is accelerated. Different parties and their candidates, they are busy in door knocking, putting their signs on the lawns, on the streets. And the purpose of this show, we are trying our best to introduce the different candidates from the different political parties. And today we have a special guest, Mr. Loyola, who is the candidate of NDP from Edmonton, Ellerslie. Mr. Rod, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Manjit, and to all your viewers, thank you very much for always tuning in to Punjabi National.
So how are you doing today? And I know you're very busy, and
yeah,
thanks for
busy,
coming.
But I'm always doing fantastic.
I know.
I'm in my element. I love the political game. I love being there, a servant of the people. That's the way I've always been taught since being a very young person, to always be at the service of others.
So before starting a formal question and answer series, just tell me in brief your introduction, how you came in Canada as an immigrant, how you started your career, and through what process you have gone through.
Well, to be quite honest, my family, we came as political refugees here to Canada. I came when I was only 2 years old. My dad came first and then followed with my mother, my older brother, and myself in '76. I was only 2 years old at the time.
From Chile?
Yeah, from Chile. And of course, we were escaping the political violence that was happening in our country because it was a military coup. And we came here. And because of that historical context, which my parents never let me forget, is we always have to defend democracy. Defend democracy, and whether it be through participating directly in the democratic process, or by voting, or by always being involved in your community. And so that's where my political leanings came from. So it's really important for me to contribute to our society, our community, and always be of service, helping people and making sure that people can get access to the opportunities. Because at the end of the day, we're all human beings. We all deserve to be treated with respect and dignity, and we all deserve the opportunities that the society has to offer.
And what about your education, and what motivated you to join politics? How you joined politics, actually?
So from a very young age, I was always involved in the Chilean community, doing human rights work in the community, trying to raise awareness about what was happening back in Chile. Of course, what was happening in Chile was happening in many different countries of the world. So we were always engaging with different communities and building solidarity amongst the different people of different ethnic backgrounds. So it wasn't just about helping Chile, it was about helping anybody who was going through political turmoil. Like, I mean, I remember very early on, many other refugees were coming from Guatemala, from Nicaragua, and things like that. So we were always helping out and always making sure to lend a helping hand.
And I believe that's why Canada is called the country of immigrants, country of dreams, right?
Yeah, country of dreams, yeah.
We support, we protect democratic rights, and we fight for democracy too, right?
Yeah, indeed. And I think it's really important that within our local democracy at the provincial level, we're always focused on those human rights, and also religious freedoms.
Yes.
As you well know, I worked very closely with the Sikh community on a number of issues. Most people know me for the helmet exemption.
100%.
But there's other things like truck drivers that who were wearing the kirpan during deliveries, who weren't being allowed access into warehouses. And I fought for that issue too, to make sure that there was awareness built around that. Also, the putting of ashes in the local waterways,
Yes.
which is really important, not only to the Sikh community, but to the Hindu community as well, in terms of that. So these religious freedoms and human rights are something that's always been very important for me. And whenever the community comes to me with an issue like that, I'm the first one there to stand up and say, let's get this done.
Mr. Rod, I always appreciate the work you've done for community or for different religions. But you know, especially opponents, they sometimes have allegation like Mr. Rod is playing, you know, religious cards for his political gains. So what do you want to say on that?
Well, you know, I remember when I decided to revert to Islam.
Yeah.
People were like, "Oh, are you sure you want to do this?" And of course, many people said this would hurt your political career. And you know, I'm the kind of person who I believe strongly in my faith, right? And I believe that whatever faith you have, if it strengthens you,
yes,
and it helps you to become a better human being for the rest of the society, then great, wonderful. Yes. So that's what my decision was for me. It helps me be a better person so that I can be a better individual, be of more service. And everybody who comes to my office knows. Like, I have Gujaratis that come to my office on a regular basis. I help them, no problem. Everybody gets help when they come to my office. Doesn't matter what religion they are, doesn't matter what ethnicity they are. And I think that my opponents try to use the religious card against me more than I use it for, because at the end of the day, we all know that there are a few Muslims that live in Edmonton Ellerslie, but by far it's not the most widespread religion in Edmonton Ellerslie. And what I love about, for example, even members of the Sikh community, they have said, no, this is politics from back home. We're not going to let that happen here. It doesn't matter what religion you are, Rod. You've always been there to help us when we needed it. And that's what's most important. Doesn't matter the religion, it's the attitude and the behavior of being of service and helping out.
And you know what, religion is very individual thing, very like personal thing. So everybody has the right to have, you know, faith or profess any religion. I respect that. And that is the best thing of, you know, Ellerslie riding, Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, because this is the like diversity. Diversity is the key for, you know, the betterment of society anywhere. So,
well, you know, I'm very proud of Edmonton Ellerslie. Whenever I have the opportunity to talk to Albertans outside of Edmonton Ellerslie, I boast about how in Edmonton Ellerslie we probably have a person from every nation and every religion, every ethnicity, every culture that lives in Edmonton Ellerslie. And I'm proud of that fact. And you know, I think that Edmonton Ellerslie is an example for the rest of Canada, because we know that by the year 2030, there's going to be just as many, you know, Anglo people as immigrant people from other countries, from other ethnicities. And we need to start working with the population in general to deal with issues of race and racism and discrimination, and demonstrate that, hey, it doesn't matter what ethnicity you are, we can all get along. We all can make, if we all work together, we can make Alberta the best place to live for everybody. It doesn't matter where they're from. Definitely.
And you were the MLA for Edmonton Ellerslie for 2 terms, from 2015 and then 2019.
Indeed.
And you were also the critic for infrastructure, Ministry of Infrastructure. How was this journey? And if I'll ask you in brief, what was the contribution of Mr. Rod Loyola for the constituents of Edmonton Ellerslie or in the legislature overall?
So number one, in terms of infrastructure, while we were in government, we built or there was additions and rebuilds of 240 schools. That's a track record that cannot be beat by any other premium.
240 schools.
240 schools. Under the Rachel Notley government, we invested the most in infrastructure in Alberta in decades. I'm talking decades. Never has there been the infrastructure spend in Alberta as under the Rachel Notley government. And so not only schools, but we worked really hard to make sure that we could start on the South Edmonton Hospital. Unfortunately, when the UCP came in, they decided to stop that project. Why they decided to stop that project, I don't know, because Edmonton is desperate for another hospital. People who live in Edmonton Ellerslie know that they try to access the Grey Nuns.
Yep.
I've heard horror stories from my constituents saying, they went to the emergency at Grey Nuns and they were waiting there for 12 hours. A new hospital in South Edmonton will take the pressure off of the Grey Nuns Hospital. We need to get that hospital built, and that's why it's important that all over Alberta, we encourage people to vote in an Alberta NDP government so that we can make government and we can get that project complete on time.
Mr. Rod, I agree with you, like hospital is very important. We need it. But do you think like the infrastructure or the system already we have for Grey Nun or for University Hospital or for the Royal Alex, do you think we need to change something? Like, because I personally have experience, only for one doctor there are like more than 10 managers or staffing people, right? But we are lacking nurses, we are lacking doctors. So we cannot create only infrastructure. We need manpower as well.
Indeed.
So what is the policy?
So Rachel Notley has already promised that we are going to do the largest hiring of nurses and other health practitioners in the province that any other government has made in the history of Alberta if we are elected government. Because we realize that. The other promise that we've made is that we're going to make sure that over 1 million Albertans get access to a family doctor.
Family doctors.
And that's the real problem right now. The issue is that people don't have access to a family doctor, so then they go to emergency. And then when they're in emergency, they're flooding the emergency. Doctors don't have the capacity. We don't have the doctors. We don't have the nurses.
Yeah.
Our healthcare system is in complete crisis. Danielle Smith and the UCP are saying, no, everything is okay. But when people go to the hospital, they realize that it's in crisis.
Especially we have seen in the COVID.
Yes, most definitely.
All hospitals were like full in capacity, and I especially remember the Misericordia Hospital that was closed for many, many days.
Yeah, indeed.
Due to the shortage of the...
And not only is the issue that we don't have enough infrastructure and we don't have enough nurses and doctors, the machines even that we have in our hospitals are breaking down, right? We desperately need infrastructure dollars invested into these hospitals so that we can get more machinery, more up-to-date machinery that can be reliable to make sure that people are getting the services that they need, and then getting the operations and the surgeries that they need on time. So by getting people access to a family doctor, that's going to free up a lot of the attention of doctors and nurses in our healthcare system, and then the surgeries and the wait times are going to decrease.
Mr. Rod, you might be agree with me. Like I always say, like education and health, they are the like backbone of any society, any country. And there is a big dichotomy. On the one side, we are having shortage of the doctors and nurses or the staff. On the other hand, lots of brilliant students who have very good percentage in their like science programs, and they are willing to pursue their medical career, they don't have the seats. They are going to other countries like England, US, Australia, New Zealand. So how we will handle this situation?
Yeah, I'm glad that you bring that up, because one of the issues that was first brought to my attention were the international medical graduates.
Yes.
Many of them were coming to me and saying, hey, we can't get a job here. Even though we were recruited from our home country by the Canadian government, promised that we would get a job when we get to Canada, they weren't able to, because there was so many loops that they had to go through, whether it be the Alberta Medical Association or the Alberta Health Services. They just couldn't find a job. So with my advocacy and the advocacy of many other of my colleagues in the Alberta NDP, we have convinced the party to make it a priority that those international medical graduates, we are going to make it so that they can get a job easier here in the province of Alberta, and we can get them to work because we need them as doctors and other health practitioners as well.
You know, when I was in India and you or other people, they were in their home countries, there was a very popular term called brain drain, right?
Yes.
So, firstly, it started from those countries to Canada, America, and now it started from here. So, I don't know where this will go.
So, specifically to that issue, we need to work together with
we need more seats.
Post-secondary education system and make sure that there are more seats so that people will actually stay within the country, and we need them. We need them here. So that's also another issue that desperately needs to be addressed.
I'm not going to leave this issue once you are elected. No. Still, I will,
please,
push
I'm
you.
I'm counting on you.
Yes, I will always have this issue raised in person with you.
Good.
Okay, so I have a data, particularly regarding your election. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
So you started your first election in 2012.
Yes, this
right?
is true. Yeah.
And you were on third position on that time, but in 2015, you got very good number of votes, 11,034 votes, right? And after that, in recent election, 2019, I mean last elections, you got almost 9,717 votes. But if you compare with the 2015, it was 10% decrease.
Yeah.
And the difference was only 2,487 votes. So, what do you think in this elections? What is your strategy, or what you are trying to, to meet people? How you can get the support of maximum people so that you can win again?
And getting the maximum support of people doesn't happen at election time.
Yes.
The result comes at election time. But throughout my entire term, my last term, I have made it an absolute priority to connect with people on a very personal level. And for example, you know this, anybody who asks me, all of my constituents have my personal cell phone number. Anybody asks me, I'm like, you need to get a hold of me, here's my personal cell phone. And you know what, I want to thank the community because they only use the telephone number when they really, really need it. And there has been examples where constituents have called me at 11 o'clock. There was a member of the Hindu community. Unfortunately, his wife had passed away or was passing away, and they wanted to take her back to India. The children didn't have their COVID shots.
Yes.
And the husband did, but the children didn't. I got on the phone that same night, and I made sure that the children could get their COVID shots the next day so that they could be on their flight by 3 p.m. So when people call me in an emergency, I respond because I feel their pain, I feel their suffering. I want to be the person that gets the job done. I want to be their champion, their leader, the person that they can confide in. And that's what you get with Rod Loyola, someone who's always going to stand up for you and stand up for your family.
Definitely. And Mr. Rod, when you go for door knocking and you talk to people, no doubt education and health is the big issue. Other than that, what other concerns people have?
Child care is a big issue in Edmonton Ellerslie. And the reality is that people are having to pay between $1,100 to $1,300 for childcare for just one child. Now, could you imagine if you have 2 or even 3 children? Yeah, they provide you a discount, but still, it's an enormous amount of money. So one of the things that I'm really going to work hard on, along with Rachel Notley and her government, when elected, is to make sure that we get to $10 a day daycare here in the province of Alberta. Parents desperately need it. A lot of women, the tendency is that women stay home because they say, oh, if more than half of my wage or my salary is going to childcare, I might as well just stay home. But what people don't realize is that, well, if they're staying home, then the wage that they're making, not only are they not going out and spending that wage, and then also they're not paying income tax. It's well known that for every dollar that you spend on childcare, you actually get $6.47 back.
They're not even contributing to the economy.
Exactly.
If they're sitting home.
Well, they're contributing in different ways.
Yeah, I mean, like
taking care
in
of
creation.
children. Yeah, but in terms of like economic,
Yes,
economic
growth, I would
contribution,
say,
it's very difficult. So we need to get more people back into the workplace. Childcare is a very serious issue. But I'll be honest with you, the majority of the people that I'm door knocking these days are talking to me about inflation,
Yes,
the high cost
affordability,
of groceries, and you know, when it's been the most difficult time
yes,
for people to make ends meet. I've spoken to so many people who are one paycheck away from not being able to make their mortgage payment,
yes,
not being able to make a car payment, you know, pay their insurance on their vehicle. And it's sad because the UCP, when they got into power, they took the cap off of insurance. Insurance went up more than 30% for a lot of people.
yes,
Then they took the cap off of electricity. All this when the inflation was going higher and higher. So they could have made decisions that would have made it easier for Albertans, but instead they chose to make it more costly for Albertans at a time when inflation was going high. So you can bet that under the Alberta NDP, we're going to address those issues. We're going to put the cap back on insurance, find a way to put a cap back on the utilities to make sure that life can be more affordable for Albertans.
yeah. Last question, but very important.
Indeed.
A better future is the slogan of Alberta NDP. So my question is, this better future is for Albertans or for the leaders?
This better future is for all Albertans. We want to make sure that we have a strong, diversified, sustainable economy that is going to provide great mortgage paying jobs, not only for Albertans now, but well into the future. And that's what we're talking about. We need a government right now, and Alberta NDP is the government that has the vision to diversify this economy, to make sure that in another 30, in another 50, in another 100 years, Alberta is going to be in a place where we have a strong, sustainable economy, that people from all over Canada are going to come, and not only all over Canada, all over the world, people are going to be coming to Alberta because they know it's the best place to raise their family.
I asked this question because today I was reading a survey and the question was, is the Albertan economy is in the right direction? So answer was only 16% yes, and 60%, 60 was it's in wrong direction. So definitely we need to improve the economic structure of Alberta. We need a better future, and best of luck to you. Thanks for coming. Any message to your constituents, to Albertans?
Well, I just want to say that this election is a very serious one. We need your help to convince all Albertans. I know that many of you have family and friends that live in other parts of Alberta, namely Calgary, for example. Please reach out to them, talk to them about the issues. For example, the fact that Danielle Smith wants to make it so that you pay to go visit your doctor, this is unacceptable. We're proud of our universal healthcare system, and we need your help to convince other Albertans to vote Alberta NDP this election. Let's get an Alberta NDP government elected.
Thank you very much for coming and having this beautiful conversation. Thanks.
No, thank you.
And this was Mr. Rod Loyola, who is the candidate for NDP from Edmonton, LSD. Thanks for watching Punjabi National TV. See you soon. Thank you.